2 years ago, I did a video of a Wally wing hatchmaster, an excellent fly for spring creeks, streams, and rivers with slow runs and lakes. For this video, I'll be modifying this fly by using a paraloop, or a hackle stacker as some say, instead of a CDC hackle. I used the paraloop hatchmaster this last summer, tied as a size 16 and 18 with great results, especially when I needed a no hackle fly. For this video, we're going to be showcasing a green drake Wally wing hatchmaster size 12, which is in the vise. Calibatus, flobs, PMDs, drakes, and mahoganies, etc. are all other mayflies that can be tied with this pattern, simply by varying the size and coloring of the fly. So let's get started. The materials we're going to use today are size 15 212Y Tiemco hook, 2 mallard flank feathers, 1 a light yellowish feather for the abdomen and the tail, and a dun feather for the wing. A natural grizzly hackle size 18 with a 6X tippet for the paraloop post will be for the paraloop, and we'll be using olive griffin shear thread size 14. We're going to remove the fly, the finished fly. You're going to be putting in the hook. And the first thing we're going to do is run a beaded thread down the shank by using a jam knot. I'm going to stop just as we go down the bend of the hook. Next, we're going to prepare our abdomen feather. First, by cutting off all the fluff down at the bottom. And we're going to save this fluff because we're going to use it as dubbing for the thorax. Next, we're going to peel back about 6 to 8 barbs on each side of the feather shaft. And use a little Orvis high floating to help to get the barbs to behave and bend back smoothly. So gently just keep stroking those barbs back with just a touch of floating on each side. Make sure we're even. Bend them back tightly along the shaft of the feather. Place it at a little bit of an angle while you use a pinch wrap to loosely tie in, a couple of pinch wraps. Then several tight wraps. You can rotate the feather right so it's on top. And we're going to trim off the excess. Just use a number of wraps to get that locked in there real tight. Next, we're going to put our hangman's post on the vise. We're going to cut probably about 8 inches of tippet material to use as the post for the paraloop. I'm going to loop that around the hangman's post, bring it forward along the shank of the hook, a couple of pinch wraps, bring the tail end of the tippet over itself and lock it down. As we said, we're going to be using about a size 18 hackle to create the paraloop. Grizzly, natural. I'm going to lock that in. Bring the tippet straight up 90 degrees and wind on the hackle. I like to make it fairly dense. Stop it and then bring it back down over itself. Slide the post back down to a horizontal position, and we want to lock off the feather paraloop and trim off the excess feather. And now we're ready to put on the Wally wing. So we have a done mallard flank feather. I'm going to trim that down and bend back a number of feathers, or barbs actually, not feathers. So I have the feather looking like that. Again, I'm going to put a little bit of the floating on the feather and gently stroke them into position. Now we're ready. Put the feather on. We're going to fold it back like so, pinch it, and bring it down to the end or the bottom of where the paraloop is. Tie it in with a couple of pinch wraps and then 2 or 3 real tight wraps. Don't let go of the tag end or the feather while you're tying it in. This will allow you to bend it up and cut it off neatly right along the edge of the threads like so. Put a couple of more wraps to secure that wing in. And then we're going to take on my thumbnail and I'm going to bend up the wing feather. And now we're ready to create the wings. I like separating the barbs on top to a single one, and I gently pull down on each side of the feather, which then splits the feather to create the wings. Cut off the center shaft of of the feather and the bobs on the top of the feather. Now you want to take your index finger and your thumb and bend the feather straight down and back along the shank. Squeeze it and then push it back up, and the feathers should stand straight up for you, like so. Now we're ready to get the fluff back that we cut off of the abdomen feather and use that for the dubbing of the thorax. Just a little bit. You don't need to bunch it on. You can use a little dubbing wax if you so like, not necessarily have to, but I like to. It just makes it for a tighter wrap. And use it to make thorax of the fly. Okay. At this time I like to put a little bit of just a half hitch off, just to secure the thread so it doesn't pop off and have the thread start to unravel. Now we're going to take the paraloop post off, the hangman's, and just run the tippet through the feathers. And I'm going to do four loose pinch wraps right down at the eye. I'm going to bend the feathers out a little bit so I can pull the paraloop straight through, like so, kind of snug. Then I'm going to bring the post up and bend the hackle and the feathers back. And the idea here is to create a small head of the fly and have the thread go over the tippet so you can lock it in. Do a couple of half hitches here to lock everything in. I'm going to cut off the tippet post. Stroke the feathers into position. I'm going to put a little bit of cement or varnish on the head. Run a feather through there. Clear out the eye. Do a little trimming here of excess hackle. Trim off the thread. Now we're ready to create the tail. What we want to do is just separate one bob on each side of the shaft of the abdomen feather. Bend them back. Cut off the remaining part of the feather and bring the tail barbs back. Trim them off to size. And lastly, bend the abdomen feather so that it's straight up. We have a size 12. And some extra pieces of hackle. And we have a size 12 Wally wing paraloop green drake Hatchmaster. Thanks for watching.